Hello there, listeners. Here is Maya speaking from my humble little tent in Klil, northern Israel. Today is May 5th, and haven't talked to you for quite a while now. It's been a long break. I took some time um, off like everything, off my work, off my home, off the podcast, and I went to a river in the Golan Heights where I met many of my friends in the Israeli Rainbow Gathering. To those of you who know what a Rainbow Gathering is, so you might be amazed to hear that there is a Rainbow Gathering in Israel while rockets are falling like where the rainbow is. Basically it's like in a war zone. It's a rainbow gathering in a war zone. A rainbow gathering is when people go out to nature to spend a month together without buying or selling or telling each other what to do, without hierarchy, doing lots of music and connecting with nature and with themselves. It's kind of a peace gathering, anarchistic peace nature gathering, kind of. So I was there for like a week. It was beautiful. No one barely spoke about the war. I met few people just out of the hundreds that I met. Maybe one or two talked to me about mostly about grief that they experience with relatives that got murdered in the war, mostly in the Nova party, the Nova Trans party in October 7. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It was a bit more than half a year, and people are still grieving. It's you don't see that much because most of the attention is upon the current danger and upon the war and upon the people that are still alive that are extremely suffering. But people are also grieving, and in this, when everyone takes some time off to be in nature together without watching the news or anything like that. So I think this is what rised up, just being very sad and grieving for all of that shit. So I was there for a week, and then I came back home, and I was a bit more than a week home, I guess now, and I went back to my studies and to my work, and with the podcast, I think it took me a while to come back because I was occupied with lifting up the YouTube version of the podcast. Now the podcast is also on YouTube. Thanks to my great friend Itai. Thank you, Itai, for helping me with this technical thing. Um, I put like 7 episodes there, and tomorrow I think I will put the rest, including this one, in the YouTube podcast. And yeah, um, so today is the Israeli Holocaust Day. This is the day when officially in Israel they speaking about the Holocaust. This occasion in the not that far history where millions of people were systematically murdered, and lots of terrible stuff happened all around. It's kind of, I don't know. I was visiting my parents today, and there was like Holocaust movie in the news, like black and white historical stuff, and I was like, how can you watch that when like terrible shit is going out right now? And and I think if you say like, hey, look at those movies, it's kind of look like what's going on in Gaza now. I think you might go to prison for saying something like that in Israel now, because things get very crazy. And yeah, I guess you can say that looking at the Holocaust movie, it's kind of like uh, rising up the memory of the hostages. I think for that you will not go to prison, but I don't know if someone saying, yeah, probably people saying that it's kind of obvious. People are experiencing Holocaustic experience right now as we speak. And yeah, very much terrible indeed. Here in the north, it's pretty quiet, I guess. Yeah, comparing with the early days of the war. Nearly no bombs I heard since I came back home. Today there was like alarm and I was running away from my car, just for case that my car will explode. It might be dangerous, so I like ran away from my car and lay on the ground for a while, but no bombs fell, so I just got back up and continue in my day. I think like 2 or 3 days ago it was that my parents visited me here in Cleveland, and there was actually bomb like shooting down at air, like I don't know, maybe half a kilometer away from me. There was alarm, and it's interesting. I think I haven't heard a bomb that close. I think it was the closest bomb to me that I heard. It sounds like a plane coming, like a plane flying in air, but then suddenly like boom, and yeah, the Israeli defense system, the air defense system, managed to explode it in air. But it's not that great to have like a bomb exploded at air above your village, because then like giant pieces of metal can fall down, and they do, and it did. And I think someone showed me a picture that it broke someone's car, and there was like someone said that one woman got injured from the pieces of meteor falling down from the sky. And it's like they fall down and because it's exploding, so they might like fly up from the explosion, so it can take a while until they fall down. So I was sitting with my parents and we were like, well, there is like about 10 minutes now that a giant piece of metal can hit us from the air. What should we do? Like my mother tell me like, what are you doing when this happened? And I told her like, well, nothing, I have no like shelter or anything. Well, generally you're supposed to lie down on the ground, but honestly I think it's better to sit down, because this way I'm less exposed. You see, like I have less like surface, so statistically the chances that the giant piece of metal will hit me is less. But anyway, non-giant piece of metal hit me. It hit a woman in the neighbor village. So, but she's not like dead or anything. She's injured. Anyway, yeah. So it's the sorry. So it's the Israeli Holocaust Day today, and soon it will be the Israeli Independent Day, and like the official grief day for the soldiers that died, and like national stuff like that. I wonder how it will be. I will probably make an episode about that. But the interesting thing today is that it was I think, and that the reason that I lift up my phone and start recording this episode is that well, in the morning I looked at the news and I saw that the IDF is entering Rafah, which is very terrible for everyone, including me, because it means that the war is gonna get worse. But it was kind of obvious that they will do it, because the government controlled by messed up extreme religious right-wing violent psychotic people. So it was kind of obvious for me that they will enter Rafah, and they did. They start to, I think, not entering Rafah yet, but like sending the civilian population away, which I think, well, at least they doing that, and not just entering with bombs and kill everyone. I guess they doing that only because like international forces will be very angry if they want. So anyway, so they start preparing to enter Rafah, and now before I went back home from visiting my parents, I looked at the news again and I saw that the Hamas published an establishment that they have agreed to the deal, the hostages release deal. They say, okay, we agree, they will leave Gaza, they will go away, and we will let the hostages out, which is crazy. Those people are being in hell for every second for the last more than half a year now. It's crazy, the idea that they will be back home. And the Hamas said, yes, we will let them go, and the IDF will leave Gaza. And someone in the WhatsApp group wrote that it's only they call it a spin, because they say that the Hamas was published that they agree to the deal that they offer themselves. They didn't had an agreement with the Israeli government. They just said that they agreeing to get what they want in the first place. Not in the first place, but in, I think for the last few months, the Hamas said, let's finish the war and you get the hostages back. And yeah, so and I was thinking, when the war started, I thought, being quite innocent, I guess, I thought that the idea of going to the war is pushing the Hamas with lots of force until they will say, okay, just let us go and we'll bring the hostages back. It's like if someone is holding something that is precious to you and you grab their throat and choking them, you kind of want to get what they took away from you back. They say, okay, take it back, just leave me alone, and then you leave them alone and you take back what they took from you, in this case the hostages. And now they saying, oh no, that's a spin. They trying to make the IDF not entering Rafah. And I say, what the fuck? Get the hostages back. Do not enter Rafah. It's good for everyone except for the ministers of the government and for the extreme religious right-wing Israeli people that want to resettle Gaza with the Jewish population. So the last thing I saw in the news before I start recording this episode is that there is protesting and people blocking roads, calling to the government to accept the deal and get the hostages back. And I don't know what's going to happen. I will guess that the government will send police to beat up the people that blocking the road, and will send the military to beat up the Palestinians in Gaza, and we will have lots of violence and suffering. Yeah, according to what I see in Israel for the last 30 years that I exist on this planet, this is what I believe will happen, but who knows? I guess maybe I'm a bit pessimistic, and maybe I'm not seeing the full picture. Maybe I'm captured with a pessimistic mood. Who knows? Maybe they will accept the deal and get the hostages back and leave Rafah and we'll have peace. And maybe something in between. I will update you listeners from abroad with what's happened, and I will update you Israeli listeners with what I'm thinking about what happened. And thank you for listening. It's a good therapy for me to have this podcast, and I hope I'm doing some benefit with putting my perspective on things out. And yeah, wish me good luck and good night without bombs. Thank you, listeners. Bless us all.